Most people don't realize this, but magnesium is behind the scenes of almost everything your body does. Over 300 biochemical reactions, yes, 300 depend on it. Imagine your body as a massive electrical system. Every spark, every signal, every bit of energy that flows through you needs magnesium to run smoothly. When you move your muscles, when your brain fires off thoughts, when your heart contracts and relaxes, magnesium is the switch that makes it possible. Without it, those electrical impulses start to misfire, your energy feels drained, your nerves become overly sensitive, your muscles tighten up, and your heart rhythm starts losing its balance. This mineral isn't just important, it's the foundation of how your body operates, and that's why the lack of it can silently set you up for the most dangerous consequences. Now here's where it gets really serious, because the most dangerous sign of magnesium deficiency isn't just a muscle cramp or fatigue. It's when your heart starts to lose its rhythm. Your heart is an electrical organ, and magnesium is what keeps those electrical signals steady and balanced. When you don't have enough, the signals become unstable, and suddenly your heartbeat can become irregular. You might feel it skip, flutter, or race for no reason at all. That's not just uncomfortable, that's your body waving a red flag. Because once your heart rhythm is off, it puts you at risk for bigger problems like arrhythmias, high blood pressure, and even cardiac arrest. Think about it. One simple mineral missing in your diet can actually cause the very engine of your body to malfunction. That's why magnesium deficiency isn't something you can afford to ignore, but here's the tricky part. Your body doesn't always start with the heart when it warns you. It often begins with small, subtle signals that most people brush off. That little twitch in your eyelid that keeps coming back, the sudden cramp in your calf in the middle of the night, the feeling of restlessness in your legs when you're trying to sleep. These are not random, they're your body's way of saying, I'm running low on magnesium. Even that constant fatigue, that wired, but tired feeling, or the anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere, can all be traced back to this deficiency. Problem is, people usually cover up these signs with caffeine, painkillers, or stress relievers instead of asking why it's happening in the first place. But these small signals are like smoke before the fire. They appear first, quietly, before things escalate into something far more dangerous. And when that deficiency keeps building, your stress levels start shooting through the roof. See, magnesium acts like a natural brake on your nervous system. It calms you down, lowers cortisol, and keeps your body from staying stuck in fight or flight mode. Without it, there's nothing to buffer stress. Your nerves stay overstimulated, your muscles stay tight, and your brain feels like it's constantly racing. Even the smallest problems start to feel overwhelming because your body literally can't switch off the stress response. That's why people with low magnesium often feel tense, irritable, and anxious all the time. It's not just in their head, it's their body struggling to run without the mineral that keeps the entire nervous system under control. And then comes one of the most frustrating effects of all: you can't sleep. Magnesium is what allows your body to relax. It helps your muscles release tension, and it quiets down the nervous system so your brain can finally switch off at night. Without it, you toss and turn, you wake up in the middle of the night, and even if you do sleep, it's restless and shallow. You wake up feeling more tired than when you went to bed. That's why so many people rely on sleeping pills or melatonin, but the real issue is deeper. It's the lack of magnesium, because when your body doesn't have enough, your natural ability to produce calming brain chemicals like GABA drops, and that leaves you wired, restless, and unable to drift into deep, restorative sleep. And what makes this even worse is that our modern diet is almost designed to keep us magnesium deficient. Decades ago, the soil was rich in minerals, and food naturally provided what the body needed. But today, the soil is depleted and processed foods dominate the menu. White bread, pasta, sugary snacks, fast food, they're stripped of minerals, leaving almost no magnesium behind. Even the so-called healthy options often don't deliver what they used to because the ground they're grown in has lost its nutrient density. So you can eat plenty of calories and still be starving at the cellular level. This is why so many people are walking around exhausted, anxious, and struggling with health problems they can't explain because the very foundation, this essential mineral, has been drained out of the modern food supply. On top of that, the lifestyle most people live today drains magnesium even faster. Every cup of coffee you drink, every glass of alcohol, every hit of sugar, it all pulls magnesium right out of your system. And then there's stress. When you're under pressure, your body burns through magnesium at a much higher rate because it's trying to keep cortisol and adrenaline under control. So the very moments when you need magnesium the most are the moments when you're losing it the fastest. That's why people who live on caffeine, processed food, late nights, and constant stress are almost guaranteed to be deficient. It's not just poor diet, it's the entire modern lifestyle working against your magnesium reserves day after day. And then we reach one of the most overlooked, yet most dangerous effects of magnesium deficiency, the way it disrupts your blood pressure. Now, most people think of high blood pressure as a problem with salt or maybe stress or genetics. That's the message we've been given for years. But what almost no one realizes is that magnesium is one of the key minerals that actually regulates how your blood vessels contract and relax. It's like the conductor of an orchestra, keeping the rhythm smooth and steady, making sure your blood flows with the right pressure, not too high, not too low. When you don't have enough magnesium, the smooth muscles that line your blood vessels stay tight, stiff, and contracted. Imagine trying to water your garden with a hose that's pinched. The water pressure shoots up because the flow is restricted. That's exactly what happens inside your arteries. The tension builds, the pressure rises, and your heart is forced to pump harder and harder just to push blood through. And the longer this goes on, the more wear and tear your blood vessels experience. That's how magnesium deficiency quietly sets the stage for hypertension, strokes, and heart disease, without you even realizing it. But here's the shocking part. Doctors will often prescribe a pill to lower your blood pressure without ever asking if you're deficient in magnesium. They'll target the symptom, not the root cause. Meanwhile, your body is simply starving for the mineral that naturally relaxes those vessels. Magnesium is nature's calcium channel blocker. It does exactly what some of the most common blood pressure medications are designed to do. It relaxes, opens up, and restores flow. Without it, the system goes into overdrive. Now let's talk about the stress connection because it all ties together. When you're stressed, your body releases adrenaline and cortisol. Those hormones tell your blood vessels to constrict. It's part of the fight or flight response. But magnesium is what helps calm that reaction. So if you're deficient, your body has no way to switch off that constant constriction. Your vessels stay tight. Your heart keeps pounding, and your blood pressure keeps climbing. This is why stress and magnesium deficiency feed off each other like a vicious cycle. Stress burns up magnesium, and low magnesium makes stress even more damaging. And think about this. High blood pressure isn't just a number on a machine. It's like pressure building in a pipe. Over time, that pressure damages the walls, makes them weaker, and sets you up for tiny cracks. The body tries to repair those cracks with cholesterol, and that's how plaque starts building. So when people are told their cholesterol is the enemy, what's often really happening is the body is patching damage caused by pressure, and magnesium deficiency is right at the root of it. Now let's go even deeper, because magnesium also plays a role in balancing other minerals, especially calcium. Most people get far too much calcium and not nearly enough magnesium. Calcium is a constrictor, it tightens muscles, makes them contract. Magnesium is the opposite, it relaxes. When calcium dominates and magnesium is missing, your muscles, including the tiny muscles in your arteries, stay in a constant state of contraction. That means higher blood pressure, stiffer arteries, and greater strain on the heart. It's like slamming the gas pedal with no brake to balance it out. Eventually, something has to give. And here's something else most people don't realize. Low magnesium is directly linked to insulin resistance. When your body can't handle sugar properly, your insulin levels rise, and insulin itself causes your kidneys to hold onto sodium. That means more fluid retention, more volume in the blood, and again, higher pressure. So now you see, magnesium deficiency doesn't just tighten your blood vessels. It also triggers a cascade that ends with more fluid and more strain on the system. No wonder so many people with type 2 diabetes also struggle with hypertension. Now, let me ask you this. If magnesium deficiency can cause all these issues, why is almost no one tested for it? The truth is, most magnesium is inside your cells, not floating around in your blood. So even if you get a blood test, it may look normal, while your body is actually running on empty. That's why so many cases of deficiency go unnoticed, because we're looking in the wrong place. And yet, the symptoms are everywhere: tight muscles, anxiety, poor sleep, irregular heartbeat, and of course, high blood pressure. Here's the scary reality: high blood pressure is often called the silent killer because it shows no symptoms until it's advanced. But when you connect the dots, you see that magnesium deficiency is one of the silent killers behind the silent killer. The good news, this is something you can actually correct. Instead of only depending on medications, you can start restoring magnesium through diet and lifestyle. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about just popping a random supplement and expecting miracles. Not all forms of magnesium are the same. Some are poorly absorbed and do very little. Others, like magnesium glycinate, citrate, or malate, are far more bioavailable and actually get into the cells where you need them. But even before supplements, food is your first line of defense. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard, nuts and seeds like pumpkin seeds and almonds, avocados, even dark chocolate. They're some of the richest natural sources of magnesium. But let me tell you something even more interesting. When you start getting enough magnesium, it's not just your blood pressure that improves. Your sleep becomes deeper, your stress levels drop, your energy feels steady, and your muscles stop aching. Why? Because magnesium doesn't just work on one system. It balances the entire network. It calms the nervous system, relaxes the muscles, regulates the heartbeat, and restores proper circulation. And when circulation is restored, blood pressure naturally begins to fall back into a healthy range. Think about how empowering that is. Instead of living in fear of numbers on a blood pressure monitor, you can actually take back control by addressing the root cause. Imagine no longer feeling that constant tightness in your chest, no longer waking up with tension in your body, no longer fearing that silent damage is building day after day. That's what magnesium can do when you finally give your body what it's been missing. And the truth is, your body wants balance. It's always trying to heal, always trying to stabilize, always trying to keep you alive and well. But it can only do that if it has the right tools, and magnesium is one of the most important tools in that kit. Without it, your body is forced to improvise, to push harder, to strain more. With it, everything begins to work as nature designed. So when you think of high blood pressure, don't just think salt. Don't just think stress, look deeper. Ask yourself, am I giving my body the mineral that keeps my blood vessels open, my nerves calm, my heart steady, and my blood pressure balanced? Because if not, you could be fighting an invisible battle every single day and losing ground without even realizing it. And if magnesium deficiency can shake your heart and raise your blood pressure, think about what it does to your brain. Because here's the truth. Your mind is one of the most magnesium-hungry organs in the body. Every single thought, every spark of memory, every ounce of focus you use during the day, all of it depends on proper nerve communication. And magnesium is the mineral that makes sure those nerves fire correctly. Without it, your brain starts to lose its sharpness, like a phone running on low battery, sluggish and glitchy. Now, let's break this down. Neurons, the brain's communication cells, don't just send signals automatically. They need balance between excitation and relaxation. Calcium excites, it makes the neurons fire. Magnesium is what calms them down, resets them, and keeps the system from overheating. Without enough magnesium, the neurons become overstimulated. They fire too much, too often, and that leaves your brain feeling wired, anxious, and ultimately burned out. That's when you start noticing brain fog, poor concentration, and that sense of mental exhaustion that coffee can't fix. Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there? Or read the same sentence 3 times and still couldn't absorb it? That's not just stress, and it's not just age, it's often a deficiency at the cellular level. Your brain is literally struggling to reset itself because the mineral it depends on is missing. And here's where it gets deeper. Magnesium is also essential for producing neurotransmitters, the brain chemicals that regulate mood, focus, and memory. For example, serotonin, the chemical that makes you feel calm and stable, relies on magnesium for proper function. Dopamine, which drives motivation and focus, is also influenced by magnesium levels. When your magnesium is low, these neurotransmitters fall out of balance. That's why deficiency can mimic depression, ADHD, or chronic anxiety. It's not always a psychological issue, it's often biochemical, driven by the lack of one mineral. Let's connect this to energy. The brain may only be about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes 20% of your body's energy. And the energy currency of your cells, ATP, is only usable when bound to magnesium. That means without magnesium, your brain's power supply is literally cut short. So you can eat, you can drink, you can sleep, but your neurons won't get the energy they need to function at their peak. That's why magnesium deficiency feels like a constant cloud over your mind, slowing you down, making it harder to focus, draining your creativity and problem-solving abilities. Think about how many people rely on stimulants just to get through the day: coffee, energy drinks, sugar. All of those give a temporary spark, but they don't solve the underlying problem. In fact, they make it worse because caffeine and sugar actually deplete magnesium further. So while you're chasing focus and energy, you're actually digging the hole deeper, leaving your brain even more depleted. That's why the boost never lasts and the crash always follows. Now here's something most people don't realize. Magnesium directly affects learning and memory because it regulates the activity of NMDA receptors in the brain. These receptors are like gates that control how information is stored and retrieved. Too little magnesium and those gates are left wide open. That leads to excessive stimulation, neuron damage, and a reduced ability to form long-term memories. This is why chronic magnesium deficiency has been linked to cognitive decline and even neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's disease. The very ability to learn new things, to adapt, to stay mentally sharp. It all hinges on this mineral. But let's bring it closer to daily life. Low magnesium means you can't concentrate at work. You can't stay present in conversations. You lose patience faster, and your productivity plummets. It's not just a medical issue, it impacts your career, your relationships, your goals. How many dreams have been abandoned because someone didn't have the mental energy to keep going? How many opportunities have been missed because the brain was too foggy to recognize them? And how many people label themselves as lazy or unmotivated when in reality their body is just starving for magnesium? Let me give you an analogy. Imagine trying to run your computer with 10 different tabs open, a video rendering in the background, and a weak power supply. What happens? The system lags, freezes, and eventually crashes. That's what your brain is doing without magnesium. It's overloaded, underpowered, and unable to keep up. But when you restore magnesium, it's like plugging in a proper power source. Suddenly, the system runs smoothly again, your thoughts flow, your memory sharpens, your focus returns, and you feel like yourself again. And here's something that might surprise you. Magnesium even influences creativity. Why? Because creativity requires calm focus, not scattered energy. When your brain is overstimulated and restless, you can't access those deeper states of thought where new ideas are born. But when magnesium restores balance, your mind can quiet down enough to connect dots, see patterns, and come up with insights you couldn't access before. That's why people often report a sense of clarity and inspiration once they correct their magnesium levels. Now, let's talk about stress again, because it's impossible to separate brain health from stress. When you're stressed, your body releases glutamate, an excitatory neurotransmitter. Too much glutamate can become toxic to neurons, causing overstimulation and even cell death. Magnesium acts as a natural blocker, preventing glutamate from overwhelming your brain. Without it, stress literally kills your brain cells faster. Over time, this contributes to memory loss, emotional instability, and that feeling of being mentally drained no matter how much rest you get. And it's not just about what you feel today, it's about long-term brain protection. Studies have shown that people with adequate magnesium intake have a lower risk of stroke, dementia, and cognitive decline. Why? Because magnesium reduces inflammation, improves circulation, and protects neurons from overexcitation. In other words, it doesn't just sharpen your brain in the short term, it preserves it in the long term. Now, picture this. You wake up in the morning, but instead of feeling groggy, anxious, and foggy, your mind feels clear. Your thoughts are organized, your focus is sharp, your energy is steady, you're able to dive into tasks without procrastination, you're present in conversations, you remember details with ease. That's the difference magnesium can make, not just in your physical health, but in your mental performance and quality of life. But here's the catch: most people don't even realize their brain fog, their lack of focus, their constant distractibility is linked to nutrition. They blame themselves, they blame their environment, or they blame their age. Yet all along, their brain has been whispering the same message through fatigue, forgetfulness, and lack of concentration: I need magnesium. And the beauty of it is this: when you give your brain what it needs, it responds almost immediately. You'll notice calmer thoughts, deeper sleep, more stable energy, and sharper focus, because the brain doesn't want to be foggy, unfocused, or depressed. It wants to function at its highest level. It just can't do that without the raw materials, so think of magnesium not as an optional supplement, but as fuel for your mind. Just like your car won't run on an empty tank, your brain won't run at full power without enough magnesium. And in a world where mental clarity, focus, and creativity are more valuable than ever, ignoring this is like choosing to handicap yourself when the solution is right there. And now we come to the part that gives you hope, the part that turns all this knowledge into real transformation. Because the truth is, while magnesium deficiency is dangerous, It's also one of the easiest problems to fix, if you know how. The body is remarkable in its ability to recover when you give it the raw materials it needs. And magnesium is one of those raw materials that can literally flip the switch from dysfunction back to balance. The very symptoms that once terrified you, irregular heartbeat, constant stress, restless sleep, brain fog, high blood pressure, they don't have to define you. They are signals, not permanent conditions. And when you start replenishing magnesium, those signals begin to fade. Your heart steadies, your mind clears, your muscles relax, your stress softens. It's as if the body finally exhales after holding its breath for years. So how do you restore magnesium? Let's start with food, because food is information. Every bite you take tells your body what to do. And when it comes to magnesium, some of the richest sources are the foods we often overlook. Dark leafy greens, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, these are loaded with magnesium because plants use magnesium in chlorophyll, the pigment that makes them green. When you eat greens, you're literally consuming the mineral that powered the plant's ability to capture sunlight. Nuts and seeds, pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews, sunflower seeds. These are like little packages of magnesium, protein, and healthy fats that nourish your cells on every level. Avocados, one of the most nutrient-dense fruits, give you magnesium alongside potassium and healthy fats, a perfect trio for heart health. Even dark chocolate, when it's pure and unsweetened, is a surprising magnesium powerhouse. Imagine that restoring your health with foods you might actually enjoy. But here's where reality steps in. The modern food supply is not the same as it used to be. Soil depletion has stripped away much of the magnesium content from crops. That means even if you eat greens and nuts, you may still not be getting enough. Add to that the fact that stress, caffeine, alcohol, and sugar burn through magnesium like fire through dry grass, and it becomes almost impossible for many people to restore levels through food alone. That's where smart supplementation comes in. Now, this is where most people make mistakes. They hear magnesium and grab the first supplement on the shelf. But not all magnesium is created equal. Some forms, like magnesium oxide, pass through your body almost unused. You swallow it, but it doesn't enter your cells effectively. Others, like magnesium citrate, glycinate, malate, and threonate, are far more bioavailable. Each type has unique benefits: glycinate for calming the nervous system, malate for energy production, threonate for brain health, citrate for digestion. Choosing the right form makes the difference between wasting money and actually transforming your health. And let's not forget balance. Magnesium doesn't work in isolation. It's part of a delicate dance with other minerals, especially calcium, potassium, and sodium. Too much calcium without magnesium creates tension, muscles lock, blood vessels constrict, and energy drops. But when magnesium is restored, the balance returns. Calcium contracts, magnesium relaxes. Potassium supports electrical signals. Sodium maintains fluid balance. It's like a symphony. Every mineral has its role, but magnesium is the conductor. Without it, the music turns into noise. What happens when you restore magnesium? Let's walk through it. Within days, your muscles start to feel looser. That nagging cramp, that twitch in your eyelid, that tightness in your shoulders, it begins to soften. Sleep becomes deeper, more restful. You fall asleep faster and wake up feeling refreshed instead of groggy. Anxiety lessens because your nervous system finally has the mineral it needs to turn off the stress response. Your heart rhythm steadies, blood pressure begins to normalize, and energy flows more smoothly through your day. Even digestion improves because magnesium relaxes the muscles of your gut, allowing food to move more naturally. It's not magic, it's physiology. You're simply giving your body what it has been missing. And here's something that shocks most people: magnesium even helps with insulin sensitivity. That means better blood sugar control, fewer crashes, and a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes. In fact, people with higher magnesium intake consistently show lower rates of metabolic syndrome. Why? Because magnesium is deeply tied to how your cells handle glucose. Without it, insulin can't do its job effectively. With it, your metabolism works the way it was designed to. Think about how wide the impact is. From your heart to your brain, from your muscles to your metabolism, magnesium touches every system. And yet, it's the one nutrient almost no one talks about. You hear about protein, carbs, fat. You hear about calcium and vitamin D. But magnesium, it's barely mentioned, even though it is the foundation of so many vital processes. Now, imagine this on a bigger scale. Imagine millions of people walking around with high blood pressure, heart palpitations, insomnia, anxiety, fatigue, brain fog, and being prescribed medications to cover up the symptoms. But underneath it all, their bodies are simply starved of magnesium. That means we're treating the smoke while ignoring the fire. We're silencing the alarm without putting out the danger, but once you know this truth, you can make different choices. You can choose to fill your diet with real magnesium-rich foods. You can choose to cut back on the things that drain your reserves: sugar, excessive caffeine, alcohol, chronic stress. You can choose the right form of magnesium supplement that matches your body's needs. And when you do, you're not just treating a symptom, you're transforming the foundation of your health. And let me make this very clear: restoring magnesium is not about chasing perfection, it's about progress. Every handful of spinach, every serving of pumpkin seeds, every mindful choice you make, it all adds up. Your body doesn't demand instant perfection, it rewards consistent care, and the reward is not just the absence of disease, it's the presence of vitality. Clearer thinking, calmer mood, stronger heartbeat, steadier energy, deeper sleep. This is what happens when your cells finally get what they've been begging for. So ask yourself, what would it feel like to live without the constant fatigue, without the nagging anxiety, without the fear of what your next doctor's appointment might reveal? What would it feel like to wake up refreshed, to work with focus, to connect with people you love without distraction, to move your body with energy and ease? That's the life magnesium helps unlock, and it's not a dream, it's a decision. The moment you decide to give your body what it's missing, your body begins to respond. So when you step back and connect the dots, you realize magnesium deficiency isn't just about a twitch, a cramp, or a restless night. It's at the root of irregular heartbeats, high blood pressure, constant stress, poor sleep, and even that foggy brain that keeps you from living at your full potential. And the most dangerous part of it all is that it hides in plain sight, so common, so silent, that most people never see it coming until the damage is already done. But here's the good news: your body is resilient. The very same systems that begin to break down without magnesium can just as quickly rebuild once you restore it. Your heart can regain rhythm, your blood pressure can normalize, your sleep can deepen, your mind can clear, and your stress can finally settle. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about giving your body what it was designed to have all along. The truth is simple: you can either let deficiency dictate your health, or you can take charge and rebuild from the inside out. And the moment you begin feeding your body real foods, cutting back on what drains you, and replenishing magnesium in the right way, you're not just preventing disease, you're reclaiming energy, clarity, and peace of mind, because in the end, magnesium is not just another nutrient, it's the spark of life, the mineral that turns chaos into balance. And when you give your body back that balance, everything changes.